Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Joining me today on the block is Jonathan Oliveira. How are you doing today, Jonathan?
I'm good. Yeah, it was an enjoyable episode. So I'm happy to talk about it. And yeah, I'm doing well. Good week. So.
Well, that's great that you're doing well. And everybody, if it's your first time here, please do us a favor and subscribe to Reality Pop. It's going to be your new thing, your new place for all things reality television. And so today we're talking about Big Brother Canada, Season 9, Episode 25. I think it's actually the finale next week. Can you believe it?
I guess, you know what? Even seeing them on the couches and when there's like nomination ceremonies and whatnot, I'm like, wait a minute, that's it? It's gone by so quick.
It really has, and it's probably comparatively to like the challenge that's been on for 5 months, and it just would never ever end. And so this is like just seems like, oh, okay, we're in and out, we're done, like super quick.
Oh, wink of an
So
eye.
I mean, I think it's because it's a shorter season, so it's
Less
usually would
people,
have
yeah.
pretty much 3 more weeks to be added on. But the fact that we're already at the last week and a day is pretty uncanny for me. So
And I mean, I'm not mad at it. Usually, when like American Idol went away for a year, came back, I think Ryan Seacrest bought the rights and whatnot, and it became like garbage. And instead of losing people like once a week, and you can really build up, you're like, oh, I want my person not to go. Like most shows lose a person a week, and it really obviously works. But American Idol did that, and I hate it. And it's a shorter season, so you think you can dance, same thing, shorter season, but hold on, my dog is literally eating his bone and shaking the whole thing. But with this, I'm not mad at it. It's been like one of the best seasons for me. So, I mean, although it's shorter, very enjoyable, and it's not noticeably less of anything. They didn't have to sacrifice anything in their production to make it shorter.
100%. So I don't know if you knew all the goings around because, okay, so I'm a live feeder. I watch the live feeds pretty much all the time or listen to updates and whatnot. And so I don't know if you were aware, but after Thursday night's episode, they cut the feeds until Monday. So I'm just curious for you as a person that is a non-feeder that wouldn't notice that the show wasn't being aired live over the weekend. How did you find the transition from what happened on Thursday? So with Jed being evicted, Tara being evicted, the fake double eviction, them going to the sign, and for it to cut out before knowing anybody came back. I'm just wondering how it affected you, or if it did, or if you noticed anything, or if you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I don't think it did. I mean, I wasn't kind of taken aback by how anything was structured or anything like that. So it seemed very normal to me. It was very flowy. It all worked. So I wasn't mad at it. Yeah, I mean, I don't like having episodes Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. I don't like. I much prefer, to have like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3 days off. I don't like that. I'd rather them have like a Sunday episode perhaps, and then I don't know. I wish they spread it out a little bit more during the week, but that's just a normal Big Brother thing. But it's I mean, previous U.S. seasons had it a little different, but this particular past week, it all seemed fine, especially because I've been enjoying the outcomes. So I'm like, sit back, watching what's happening, being like, absolutely, let's go.
Well, for me, like I enjoyed the show differently. So because I like seeing the reaction. So I was really frustrated with the fact that I didn't see like who won, who came in, and seeing on the feeds like how their awkward conversations. Like I wanted to see all of that, and so I was really disappointed that the momentum, because I thought Thursday was a really, really, really good show, and I just like really wanted to carry on. And I felt that when we came back for me on Monday, it was like it was at the high, and then it was like, well, let's try to build them back up again. And so for me, it didn't flow. But it's interesting for somebody that doesn't look forward to watching, in between.
I don't. Yeah, if they literally just had like, I mean, for me, because I'm all about the competition elements to it, and that really excites me. And I'm like, oh, please, just can this person not win, or can this person win? And That's what really gets me going. I do like some of the in-betweens, of course, that they have on the show, but I used to watch live feeds, years ago for the US version, like probably the first 5, 6 years. Um, but I don't need it. Like I would just like go away, spend countless hours just watching them and getting angry at the people and just seeing how vile some of them actually are. Um, let me live in my fantasy of these people are who they're edited to be. I'm like, you pay people to edit the show for me to watch. Let them do their jobs, and I will just sit back. But I mean, I'm glad that they still have that option for people who do enjoy the live feeds. I think that's very important. It's very Big Brother, and so I wouldn't take it away. I just don't want to participate in it because I'm okay sitting back watching kind of what's given to me. You know.
Yeah, there's two types of people. Yeah. You're either a feeder or non-feeder.
I'm an NF.
BBCan says, hi, overall, we have to thank Canada for entertaining us during these COVID times. They did a really good job with being able to get it cast. I think the people overall have been great. As you've already stated, it has been an excellent season. It's gone by so quickly. And I think it's because it's been so entertaining. So yes, we will thank Canada for that.
And it's like we don't have the summer reality series out yet, so it's kind of like before that. So it's like a good in between. You know what I mean? And there's not a lot of reality necessarily going on right now. So there are certain shows, they're like The Challenge and whatnot, but there's not an abundance of them. So this is a nice, kind of not filler, but it's a nice addition to have kind of in these kind of in between months, like after, for me, it's like after Drag Race, kind of overlapping, and then it kind of takes you into, pre-American version of Big Brother and whatever. I don't even know what we're gonna have this summer for reality TV because I don't know what they can film, what they haven't. I mean, I feel like the last year we've seen a lot of stuff that was filmed prior to COVID, and now like they can't do Amazing Race anymore. You know what I mean? And you can't do certain things, so. I don't know. I watch Hell's Kitchen. That just ended, but
I used to watch Hell's Kitchen all the time, but I haven't been up to date with it. But I have been watching Top Chef. Are you a Top Chef fan? I can't remember.
Yeah, I watch. There's the both versions on right now. So
I haven't started the Canada. That's good. Oh, I was thinking, I'm like, I need another show to watch, even though I watch like a lot of shows right now, and I've been doing a rewatch of The Challenge. So I'm definitely going to start Top Chef Canada. Absolutely. Hi, Natalie. I'm glad that Beth can see that Kiefer has the best chance. Yes. Okay, so what do you think about the fact that, so it seems as though you were rooting for Tara to come back between Jed and Tara. So you were happy.
Yeah, welcome to being out of the running for the competition. Wasn't Jed your last person?
Oh.
You and me both. You and me both. We're both out. But yeah, no, I was glad because I didn't want the typical kind of like, him, Ty, and Beth making it to the final three. Like I just didn't want to see that. I feel like it's been done a million times. And I'm glad that people, and being dragged along and whatever. I'm like, people came to play. Like people like a Tara or a Braden or something usually just kind of like fall by the wayside near the end and don't really do a whole lot. And these people have come and they're still fighting for it. So I'm like so glad to see that, especially last episode when those I was like, oh, Jed has it. Jed has it. And then he knocked out that ball and then it was like back and forth and it was really exciting to watch. And I thought it was a great challenge because it was something that anyone could do, didn't give the, a kind of step up for someone who is more athletic or more this or that. It was just one of those ones, which I think is great. So yeah, people are really stepping up and I don't feel like this story of this season has been told before.
Yeah, I agree. I can agree with that. I definitely wanted Jed to come back because I felt as though it would have been more like shocked faces. People would have been more scared. I think it would be a little bit more dynamic. But for what you're saying, just having a different story being told, yeah, I do think that it's nice to see that Tara does get to come back as opposed to like the traditional like young fit guy doing well at competition. So I hear that. Well, speaking of which, Brayden now he won the next head of household. It was a day's competition, basically. So what did you think of that? It was the competition, which was pretty good, and B, that Brayden won.
Edge of my seat, because even watching it, it was like, and I mean, he got in the tiebreaker, he got the exact number. Like, how crazy, right? So, yeah, I just thought, and then the fact that he just bid just enough, and Beth would go all in, like it was just nuts. So, yeah, I'm surprised Tara didn't play. Like, people, as you know, if you're playing poker or anything like that, anytime you get low, you need to go all in. And so I feel Kiefer knew that a little bit, but still didn't have a lot of chips. You kind of need to keep going all in. Tara didn't. But I was so glad Braden won, because A, I didn't know what would happen. And yes, he's protecting Ty, and I don't necessarily want to see Ty at the end. But I think that I want to see Braden. I don't know that Braden can win at the end against anyone right now. I'm looking at it. I mean, maybe if he like keeps killing it for a couple weeks or whatever, like right to the end, maybe.
There's no couple weeks; it's next week.
Okay, couple episodes, but well, I mean, if he obviously is going to the final four with that win, so if Braden can then win his
Veto.
win, by that I mean win Veto to final
And
three,
then
and
win
make
final 3 head of household.
absolutely, and make certain moves to get certain people out, then I could see that as a potential. But I think he's second place right now, and I think people would be stupid not to bring Braden along, because he's second place right now. And so, but I like Braden, so I'm happy. I want to see him at the end. And yeah, I'm glad he finally won something, and that's what he needed to do to even have a chance. So there's that. And just the whole vibe of this week watching this episode, it's a fun kind of like a more relaxed vibe. I feel like everyone lies and everyone has to say what they have to say, but Braden's more or less a straight shooter. And so, yeah, I was very happy about him winning HOH. I mean, would I have liked to have seen Tara? Because I don't think she would have turned on Brayton like necessarily. Yes, but no, I'm happy about it. Especially because I'm like, my goal is to get Beth out. Like, Beth can go.
Okay,
So
so my next question was, do you think it's good for Brayden to be targeting Beth on his head of household here?
no, I actually don't. I think I want Beth gone, but I think that he would be smarter to probably put up Ty, and Beth's always going to be a target now. And if she makes it near the end, she may get all the votes. But I think that Ty and Kiefer have big resumes as well. And Ty's a little sleeper agent right now. And Kiefer has done a million things. Remember, talked his way off of going home when he was going home. Has won HOHs. He's a lot of moves, a lot of moves. So there's way more dangerous people to me, and I don't know that people love Beth. So if she's as annoying to them as she is to watch, then I mean that element alone, she might lose some votes. So she's definitely someone I'd want to get rid of, but at the same time, I think that you need to be making bolder moves to build your resume at such a crucial point. And I feel like he should have tried to go for that, like a backdoor or something in this episode, or put up Ty and Kiefer and just be like, you know what, let's have at it.
Well, there's no chance that he was going to be putting up Ty, because Ty even knows that he has a big crush on him, and I can understand that. Like, I probably would be playing like let's have a crush on Ty in that house as well, because like he's so cute. Why not be flirting with him?
Some people are a little up in arms over that. I saw online, where I think it's fair. I mean, where I don't know what it's called, but where you're like basically flirting with your sexuality when you're not really into that. I'm like, it's the game. For me, do whatever you want. If you're flirting with a guy or a girl and you're straight or not, or whatever the case may be, I'm like, do whatever you want. If I saw a gay guy flirting with a straight girl, like, work it however you want to work it. I'm not, you're not promising them like a fake relationship. There's no like at that level, right? So it's not crossing the line, but as far as I'm concerned, work every angle you have. Yeah.
So Kiefer is worried, and I think he should be, because if Brayden was playing optimally, like you are suggesting, he would be putting up Kiefer, and Kiefer would be his target. I do think that Kiefer has the friends in the jury. I think that the most people are rooting for him to stay there, especially since, you know, he was for the Sunsetters, and then they were about to turn their back on him, and then they kept him. And so Kiefer is worried that Brayden is going to put him up. It's really interesting that Brayden has really no interest in putting Kiefer up, unless like a veto is going to be used. And so I just thought that like it was quite surprising to me that Brayden, who seemingly has a pretty good idea of what's been going on, that he's not recognizing that Kiefer is the one to beat here. And I don't know why he's not more worried about Kiefer. Like, Beth has won one competition.
Yeah, Ty's in his ear though, right? So, and Ty's pushing Beth. And so that's kind of why sometimes other people's realities can be, you know, seemingly your own. Like, it's reality's perception, right? So if everyone's telling you one thing, regardless of how grounded you can be in facts and what you may say to yourself, that can heavily influence you. And he probably didn't want to rock the boat. It seemed in some of the DRs that he seemed to be like, well, you know, and if I happen to win veto, then maybe I can backdoor someone if I choose to. You know, so it's kind of like, I think he was like, I think he's heavily influenced by Ty. And even someone said this week, you know, there's several references, like you're sleeping with him in the same bed. You know, Kiefer said to Ty, well, he'll listen to, you know, you're in his ear, he'll listen to you. So I do think it's more of Ty's move than anyone's. But Beth's like, as a viewer, get Beth out. Like, oh my gosh, she doesn't need any more. She's like borderline bully, but also like borderline like mafias. Like, she just tells you what to do, kind of thing, and it just really rubs me the wrong way. I would be so. I'm glad that Ty mentioned in this episode. He's like, can't play emotional. I don't play emotional, and that's great. But I would probably make an exception for Beth. I mean, maybe not this late in the game. I would have went for her earlier. I would have just been like, get out of here. I don't like you.
Oh my gosh.
She's just annoying.
She's annoying, but she's not that. Right now, I'm rooting for Beth because she's the underdog. Sorry.
No, I'm rooting for literally anybody but Beth.
Brutal. Okay, BB says Brayden has won 3 comps in a row now. That resume is building. Kiefer's most likable to the jury, so Brayden might regret this ahead of household. Well, yes. So, like, we will talk about the actual next competition, the veto, but I wonder. I don't know if he's going to look like he's done anything other than win a few competitions, because.
And can I just say, when you're winning against such a small group, it's not as impressive as like if you win, you know, from the get. If you're winning against 10, 13 people playing, you know, HOH, that's way more impressive than like when there's 5 people playing.
Yeah.
Or 4 or whatever. You know what I mean? I'm like, I always keep that in the back of my mind too. So yeah, winning this late in the game, I just don't think Brayden has any chance of winning. I really don't. Unless something crazy happens, I think it's like 90% locked in that he's second place at best.
100%. And like, we'll talk about it more, but Beth is bringing up, like, you know, you need to make a big move. You need to stack your resume, and a bigger move than Beth would be Kiefer, because Kiefer is the move. Kiefer is the move. And Beth.
But the problem is when Beth's in the bathroom with him talking, and she's like, if you lose me, blah blah blah. It's so aggressive and so unappealing that you're not. It's not like you're not selling them. You're like, look, you know what? Send me home. But seriously, if you look at it right now, like, just take a second, look at it, look at Kiefer, look at what's happening. I honestly think that that's the move to make. And if I'm gone next week, I hope that you and everyone else can get him out too, because he's going to win this game. Like, just make something that really appeals to someone, not like the kind of like threats and aggressive manner that she kind of deals with everything in. It's just so weird to me.
Yeah, she doesn't seem to really read the room, as we like to call it, with how to interact with people. You know, she kind of got herself in some hot water with Ty, with the fact that she kind of suggested him going up, like, not really, but like you never really want to tell somebody that you're willing to put them up as a pawn. It's just you just don't do that. They can suggest it and you can be like, would you do that? But you can never say that because it just doesn't, it's not appealing to the other person to be used as sacrifice. So
how old is she?
I'm guessing 24.
Okay. I mean, I forget. She looks older. Sorry, Beth. But she does. So I forget maybe how young she is, and doesn't really have that life experience of dealing with certain people. So
yeah, 24. I was still drinking champagne on bars and dancing. So I mean, that's also like 34, and you probably will be 44.
I mean, I was never like that, but I'm like, okay. But I mean, it's more understandable to see other people who are younger and just, you know, fly by the seat of their pants. Is that the saying?
Mm-hmm. Yes. So we see Braden's HOH room. Nothing really happened. We saw some pictures from his friends and family. He gets this letter from his friend. Nothing really happened in that reveal.
Can I just talk about the HOH room for a quick second?
Mm-hmm.
Couple things. Why is it like Superman's like lair or whatever? Like, why is it always like that?
Yes, I'll be dancing at 44 on bars still.
With Phil. Phil's invited.
I know, Philly. Yes, we will be dancing still at 44, Philly. This 27, Tara is 37. Okay.
Yeah, she feels, so there's not less of an excuse. My sister's like that age, so no. But it's the HOH room. Remember when they used to actually change the HOH rooms, like in Big Brother US, and like reconstruct them, kind of a thing? What happened to that? Why is it this ice layer in Big Brother Canada, no matter who's HOH? Welcome to Who Wants to See My HOH room? That's exactly the same as every other week, minus some photos and a letter and a little gift basket. I'm like, it's the same.
I think for this season, for sure, it's because they probably don't want to bring that many people inside and out of the house due to COVID. So
yeah, but they do it other seasons in Canada. I don't know that Canada's ever really changed it, but in the US, I remember when they've like made like shifted the beds, different everything, and you're like, ooh, okay, all right.
Yeah,
like it's really custom made, you know? Yeah.
They have to start screaming out, who wants to watch me read my head of household letter from my family?
Hashtag accurate. Yes, definitely. Who wants to see a couple 2 to 3 framed photos of my family and friends? Like that's what you need to yell out.
Who wants to see the exact same HOH room that we saw last week with so-and-so?
With a new blanket throw on it.
So it's actually really funny, Jonathan. What was the second question? Is that it? You said 2 things.
Oh, I had 2 things?
Yeah, I thought so.
One was that, I mean, I have a Wendy's comment when the Wendy's happen.
Who wants to see what candy I picked?
Yeah.
Who wants to see the CD that they got me for my DVD
that's
player?
literally it, because it's the same room. So stop saying the same room.
Oh my God, don't kill me, guys. Very funny. Okay, well, while you think about what you were going to say, Braden decides to take Kiefer to Wendy's, which I guess like he doesn't want to be bombarded by Beth, because Beth will just like talk his ear off as to what he should do. Do you think Kiefer was the best person for him to take?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they just take whomever. Like, I don't know that it's been maybe a couple people, but I don't know that it's been much of a moves thing to take people overall this season. Especially with only 5 people left in the house, you can have those one-on-one conversations almost anywhere. So yeah, I mean, but my question was, someone holding his family at gunpoint, or like they seemed like they were forced to be there on that video? Like there was. That's my worry and concern, really, because they were like, "You must have won HOH if you are watching this currently. Can't wait to see you when you're out." Like it was, I was like, "Is this his family?" Like there was no emotion.
I was thinking,
They were like held at hostage, I believe.
That was really funny, but like I was thinking like, oh, I guess they're camera shy. That was my thought, is that like they don't really like talking on camera, but they're doing it.
No, I was like, are they okay? Like someone should check in.
But like when you say gunpoint, I can see it. Like you're
The bomb. You must have won HOH if you were seeing this right now. Say hello, kids. Say hello. Like it was weird.
felt like to them though, like with like
Super
before the Canada,
warm. Super
but like
warm.
you guys have to do this video. They're just like, okay, maybe. Maybe it felt that way to them, but that's really, really funny. Are you two roasting production? LOL, BB. We're just calling out some facts. This is what we're observing.
I see it. I say it.
But that was really funny, Jonathan. Thank you for that. So Braden, or Kiefer wants Braden to put up Tara and Beth. It seems like it was a pretty easy push from Kiefer, probably because Ty has already put in some work for that to be the move. It was the same move that Ty had done that hadn't done, so to repeat it kind of made sense. Oh my God, Phil. Who wants to see my family after lobotomy? Phil.
I do. Something's wrong. I'm saying, like, someone needs to check in.
No, they're just camera shy. Just camera shy.
Okay, I work with people who are sometimes camera shy. I've auditioned real people before. That stiff is not the word. It was like. Oh, I went away. Someone called me. I'm sorry. Stiff is not the word. It's literally like I was just taken aback by the whole thing. It was really kind of jarring, but I mean, yay.
I mean, I wish that they should have gotten someone to be like, okay, let's try it again, guys. Maybe with a little bit more, be a little more animated, a little more excited. Come on, guys. Like, I wish they.
Yeah, or like send several in, you know, or they probably could have just like recorded them on like a Zoom type thing and themselves and then direct them while they're doing it.
Yeah, that would.
And people like that who are like, you know, it's hard getting blood out of a stone, right? So people who are that uptight, you have to say like, go as big as you possibly can, like really uncomfortable. They did not, but okay.
So Kiefer's saying that he wants the final four to be himself, Ty, Tara, and Braden. I mean, that's a good final four for Kiefer. As much as you don't like Beth being there will always be the target. Beth will always go out before you. I don't know if people are going to be willing to take Kiefer out or if you're going to be able to get him out. So I'm worried that this might be the move that ensures that Braden does not win, you know?
Yeah, well, Kiefer is, you know, who's the closest out of all of them to Tara? Probably Kiefer. You know, is Kiefer really Ty's target right now? No. Would he be if Beth's gone? Maybe. But I think he's pretty safe with Braden, Tara, and I mean, right now, Ty. So it really depends on who's in the house. But I think if Beth goes, then Kiefer would be Ty's biggest target. But I mean, he's pretty safe right now. And so Braden should be thinking of those things. I just love it as a viewer because I just want Beth gone at any cost. I don't care. I don't care who wins right now. I just need Beth gone. And can we make this happen this week? Please, someone win Veto who's going to take Beth and keep it from Beth. Please, please.
Wow. Well, before we get to that, you see Tara crying to Braden that, you know, she's worried that if she's on the block that Kiefer and Ty are going to vote her out. I mean, I think she's putting it on a little bit because...
Fake crying. Like, I don't think there was any tears. It was one of those, you know, it's hard because I'm like, Tara, are you tired? Because you weren't trying that hard.
So totally agree that I don't really feel that Tara was actually crying there, but I do think it was working a little bit on Braden, like not wanting to go up again, fighting so hard to be there, being underestimated. I think that there's some similarities in their story that, probably was going to appeal to Braden and maybe make Tara look like less of a threat. Like if she's always fighting to be there, like that maybe she doesn't deserve to be there. So she most likely would be able to win against her or is not as threatened by her. So,
and like they said later on, you know, he's a people pleaser and he even said it himself. So, you know, I think she was really trying to, good attempts. Tara's always going to work it. Tara's not going to miss a beat with that stuff. And that's why I like Tara with that. It's like she's always going to, you know, make sure she's saying what she needs to say, talking to whom she needs to talk to, you know, and doing what she can.
So Ty, you kind of already talked about it a little bit, but he's been nurturing his relationship with Brayden. Even though he knows that Brayden has a crush, and have a final 2 deal. And I mean, I think everybody should have a final 2 with Brayden because he should be everybody's final 2 at this point, because everybody has the best chance against Brayden. It's just a fact. What, you know, some of the points that are being brought up is that Kiefer has been playing since day 1, and Brayden's only been playing since Final 5. So he has a lot more work to do. I definitely agree with you that use whatever you can use. I don't feel like how Ty has been, you know, nurturing a relationship with Brayden I don't feel like he's been out of line. I don't think that he's done too much. Like, you know, I don't think that at all. Use what you got. If somebody has a crush on you, like, use it.
Absolutely.
If I work in a bar and some guy has a crush on me and I want him to tip me, I might flirt a little bit. Like, I don't know. Use what you got. As long as it doesn't cross the line and nobody feels uncomfortable, there's nothing to do with personal space, assault, like anything like that. Like, obviously there's a lot that's crossing the line, but for what they're doing, some cuddling, some massages, some, like, you know, we're best friends, we're final 2. Like, I think that it's totally.
He's just leaning into it a little bit, you know, and I'm like, absolutely, like, have that for sure. It's like before with Frankie Grande and Zach. I mean, Zach's kind of come out now, but it's like same kind of thing. No one thought that was inappropriate because I'm like, work with what you have. You know, people do it. So, yeah.
And it's, I guess the one reason is because Brayden actually has the feelings. People are kind of frustrated by it. So if Brayden was also using this and just being like, oh, I'm just, like, you know, pretending to have a relationship with Ty so I can, you know, get further in the game, then maybe people would be behind it. But I think they were just worried that Brayden's going to get hurt by it. But
I mean, Ty's like, I'm not promising him it. Like, Ty's like, as far as I know, Ty's like, I'm a straight man, so here's a massage, like, whatever. I'll sleep in the same bed as you.
BB says in interviews, Jed does not seem bitter, thus bitter jury unlikely. So I think you two are correct about your final 2 outcomes. Yeah, Jed does seem pretty okay with it.
And I did read in a clip saying that Jed specifically said he's not going to be a bitter juror. Like, I read that as a headline somewhere today.
And I'm happy about that. I would have been heartbroken if I were Jed. I mean, I would never have made that decision. I would never have taken myself.
No, he deserved it. That's dumb. Like, we said that last week, 101. Like, do absolutely not. Who's that worked out for? Nobody. Bye.
I'm gonna be like, sorry, like, I just met you. Like, I'm saving myself. You guys are always saying, like, how I'm the biggest threat in the game, like, and I've won too much, and, like, I'm just not giving you guys the opportunity to maybe change your mind. Just, like, sorry, guys. So, I mean, I think that that's probably why he can't be that upset, is that it's such a bonehead move that the fact that he fell for it, I think that he's like, I'm just so humbled by the fact that I fell for such a silly move that I can't be mad at them. I can't be bitter that it worked.
I mean, Jed's he's an intelligent, reasonable person. He's not a hothead. He's not someone who, like, necessarily played emotionally or anything like that. So I 100% agree. I think he can realize the move that was made, realize that he really got, you know, and can appreciate that from a game perspective. So
kind of like, I mean, I couldn't believe what was happening that time in Survivor Micronesia when Eric Reichenbach, I think his name is, when Sari convinced him to give the mini necklace, I think it was to Natalie, I can't remember all these things.
Tribal Council, yeah.
And he gave it away, and then they voted it out. I was like, never, unless you have an idol in your pocket, never. Like, that's,
I mean, and that's kind of worse. I mean, great move, Survivor. I'm all for it. I don't have anything against it, but that's almost worse because he was, like, really young and kind of, like, naive, and you're like, they kind of preyed on that a little bit. But it's a game. I'm all for it. Absolutely. If someone's gonna make that mistake, then it's on them, and you get the credit for that kind of move. So,
well, at least you get to be in the Hall of Fame for like the biggest bonehead moves that will always be referenced and talked about. Like always. And so this is always going to be referenced and talked about, Jed. So it is legendary, just not in the way that you were hoping at all. So Beth does goes and pitches to Brayden, and this is kind of what you're saying. She's scaring like him about like into voting that like that Kiefer is going to win. Like she's just like intimidating him by like, you can't do this. And nobody wants to be told that they're stupid. Nobody wants to be told that they're making a dumb move. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, and she tells them when they're going to meet. That she tells them where. She tells them, like, you know what I mean? So she's all, like, even when she was yelling up, like, hey, come meet me outside, whatever. Any situation with people, she kind of forces them. At the beginning of the episode, you saw, end of the last episode too, where she's calling Ty over on the couch. Like, she makes everyone come to her, and then is very abrasive and abrupt and just very, like, forceful with what she's saying. It's like crazy. I'm like, who responds to that? I mean, I'm surprised people aren't more seemingly against her. It's just, it's not how you kind of speak to people, especially when you're trying to win them over. Like, I don't get it.
But she did have a really good point. She did say if Kiefer's off the block and he decides to save Tara, then Ty would be forced to go up, and Ty would most likely go out. Like, even whether or not that's true or not, it would be a really big possibility, and it would force his hand to put up Ty. And so I did think it was a good point, but I think that the delivery made it so distasteful.
But at the same time, what's the other side of that? Like, I was looking at that, and I'm like, he's not going to fall for that, because the other version of that is like, well, if you keep her off the block and anyone wins, she could stay off the block. And when that's your target, you know what I mean? It's like, it's not a guarantee that anyone's going to use it. So it's like even worse. Like, that was like, well, if this one situation happens, whereas the other side of it's like, literally, if anyone else wins it other than you, you know, Brayden, and they don't use it, then your target's not going to be on the block. So that's even more dangerous and a lot more elements in play. So to me, it wasn't a great, I mean, it was her only argument probably was, but you know, it wasn't and I don't think she knew that she was necessarily the target, but it wasn't a great argument from that standpoint, because the alternate version of that, like, as opposed to like, you can do this, but as opposed to like, if you do this, but this is like so much more of a risk.
Well, I think that she was assuming that she wasn't his target, as you kind of just mentioned. Yeah. But even if he did go up, sitting beside Kiefer would be better. Like, it would be better for her game, I think, because she can really be like, Kiefer has already got himself off the block on like finale night or whatever, eviction night once before. We shouldn't do this again. If he stays again, his resume is too huge. Like, it would have.
Okay, so she was pitching Kiefer and Tara, right, to go up?
She didn't really say. She just really was saying Kiefer on the block. She didn't specifically say
her mistake. I think that's what she was saying. Her mistake is that what she should have said was, if you're going to put me up, at least put me up with, and she should have made it Kiefer, because then make those arguments, because, you know, if you think you're going to, like, please don't put me up, but if you're going to put me up, then kind of control the situation a little bit more and not be up against, you know, Tara, where they kind of already taken out once, and like, it's not, you know what I mean? It's not like a thing where it's like a bigger move and someone she could really work with and convince other people to take out was probably Kiefer. So she made a mistake with that. It wasn't a good job.
Yeah, that too. Beth really thought that she was Brayden's number 2, and we see Brayden being like, "Yeah, sorry, Beth, you're not my number 2."
Who is Brayden's number 2? I wanted to like him to finish that.
Tara? It can't be Kiefer, because Kiefer shouldn't be anybody's. It was like Jed's number 1, number 2, Tara, or maybe Ty's is number 2, and it was always Austin. You know, like, I don't know, but like,
he's like, Austin's still my number 1.
I think that Beth was talking to him as if they were besties and who he should put up. And I think she was just being like, I think Kiefer has to go up there. So I don't think that she was including or not including herself in the conversation. I think she just really thought that Kiefer needed to be on the block. I think that's how she was going at it, personally. But then she adds, "You're fucked if you lose me." Well, I might take that risk, because it's just annoying. When anybody comes at you too aggressively, people just
Well,
like,
you don't tell people how to think.
no, definitely
You
not.
alter their reality so that they do think a certain way. You don't
Mhm.
tell them.
Gosh, she has a lot to learn. Maybe she'll come back. What if she came back for All Stars? Would you watch?
She would come back like if there was like a villains kind of a season, like versus whatever heroes type thing. Um, but for Big Brother, I think she would come back, and I would watch because I'd root against her. But you know, I mean, I'm gonna watch anyway. Let's be real. But
The nomination ceremony, and no surprise to the audience, Beth and Tara are going up. But Brayden, one of his argument was that he put up Beth because she was fighting for him to go last week, which is actually not true. She was maybe hoping that her boyfriend would stay just because he used the veto on her. And then also at the same time that they never thought that Brayden actually would be the replacement nominee. So I know that Brayden was just trying to figure out something to say, but I didn't really agree with him. And then for Tara, he said that she lied to him last week and said that he wouldn't even smell the block, and she did end up going up. Or he did end up going up. So those were his two reasonings. Kind of seeming legit, but also not legit at all because it's not really how.
yeah, and I mean, and they both were like offended, kind of took issue with what was said about them.
Especially Tara. Tara was pissed because this was Kiefer's pitch and Ty was kind of behind it. And, she was really annoyed by how smug Ty was for the fact that Ty is not touching the block. Like, Tara, as much as you are, I'm kind of rooting for you a little bit here, she didn't do a very good job at nurturing any of the friends of everybody else's house. Like, everybody's pretty much like, she could stay, she can go. Like, nobody really cares. Like, about her future in the game up until this week. And so the fact that Ty has put in good work with Brayden in case this outcome came around where he needs Brayden to save him, he did some work for the last 2 months. So the fact that she's irritated that Ty is seemingly smug because he's not up going on the block, it's kind of like a little bit sore loser in my opinion.
I mean, I understand it. I think she was just frustrating, and we're catching those moments that happened kind of immediately afterwards, and I think that was for a reason. It wasn't a conversation that happened, a day later, hours later, whatever. It was immediately afterwards, and I think you have to be, as a non-live feeder, I do pay attention to when I'm seeing these conversations, and we literally basically followed them out, kind of a thing, and it happened right away. So that says to me that they maybe didn't express or feel that way necessarily like several hours later when you can process stuff. That's more raw emotion. I'm a lot more forgiving for kind of like raw emotion. I would have been frustrated too because seemingly these people are getting away with, this stuff. Yeah, do they put the work in? Do they deserve it? Absolutely. But it just seems like they're getting away with, and you're paving a path for them. I mean, so I get it and I understand that. In my head, I'm happy with what's happening, and I'm like, oh, if Beth goes this week, then Tara can win HOH next week and she can get Ty out. Like, that would be great in my head. So I'm like, it's okay, Tara, it's okay.
You want Ty out? Oh.
I mean, I like Ty, but I do want Ty out next. I want Beth to go, I want Ty to go. I want to see 1, 2, 3, those three not make it near the end, and kind of have just like an underdogs kind of a final 3 thing. So
Well, I mean, most likely Kiefer would be winning it.
well, and yeah, like I said last week, I'm very happy. I mean, ideally I'd be happy with Tara winning. I'd be very happy with Kiefer winning. I think he deserves it. And I'm happy with Brayden. Listen, if he won by some chance, I'd be happy with that. But in my head, I'm like, he can only win $20,000 right now. So I'm like, I'm happy with him winning some money and getting second place. Yeah, I'd be happy with any 3 of those people winning, and less or so with Ty, just because I do feel like most of the season he was kind of behind a lot of things that Jed was doing, and Beth, and and even Kiefer, and like really relied on other people in his group. So, but I like him. I mean, the only person I'd be upset with winning is if Beth won. That's it.
Tara, Beth hated Frieden's nomination speech. At this point in the game, it is hard to have a clean nomination argument that touches no one else. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. He was trying to probably figure out something to say, and that does make sense to say. And I do agree with you in the end here, Jonathan. Like, yes, like I would be probably really irritated by him using those rationales. So fine, but I do think though that's a little bit sore loser, Tara, because she hasn't been playing that great of a game in general. Okay, that's a good question. So Natalie wants to know, how will Jed react when he sees Beth and Jury?
Oh, Natalie, don't get my hopes up. Let's wait until that happens. I think he's gonna be happy.
He's like, oh my god, I get to have my boo back.
No, I just think it's like, well, that's what you get for voting me out. It's a little bit of redemption. Like, it's a little bit of validation to, like, I told you not to do this, you did this, and look where you are.
I know, and that's kind of one of the only reasons why I really would love for Ty to go out next, is because you know me, I'm loyalty, and I thought it was a very disloyal move that they did to poor dear Jed. And yeah, he put himself in a bonehead situation, absolutely, but he was really relying on the connections that he made with these two other people, his alliance. And so it would just serve them right, all of them, for going against something that I really was believing in. The money. And so it would be best desserts. And so I like people getting their comeuppance in that regard, because I like people sticking true to some when they have like a big alliance like that. You can take out that alliance. Even at 5 would have been fine. Like at 4, but like at 6, it was just kind of rude, especially when he did something for the whole group. I didn't love it, the move. I can't believe he allowed it to happen. And so it would just make me smile a little bit inside that they did something that they thought was the biggest move, but it actually was the move that got him out.
Yeah, I agree. And I kind of want to see that happen.
Kind of do. I'm still surprised. I mean, I think that Ty just hated Beth all along. And like, this is what I actually am thinking now. Because in the beginning, Ty and Beth were in a little bit of a showmance. And then Ty was
like, did he end it or did she? Like, who ended that? I don't know.
He did. So he's like, sorry, Beth. I have a girl at home that my best friend that I really want to pursue something with. I think he just was like, I don't want to be in some sort of entanglement with this Beth person. I need
It's always the worst when you're like kind of like in something with someone and then you realize that you don't want to be in it, but you're like kind of like, how do you get out of that, especially if you're living and locked in a house with them? Like, it's, you know what I mean? So I'm like, yeah, maybe so. So
I'm, because like he really seems like he can't stand Beth at all. And like, I think that he probably didn't like her from the beginning. And maybe he was going to be like, ooh, like maybe I'll work this girl a little bit and like we'll cuddle and like, I'll get her to do what I want her to do. But then I think she was like, oh my God, but she's too much. I can't stand her. Like, no, okay, let's end that. And then Brayden, let's do this. I kind of think that he doesn't like Beth at all.
Yeah. I mean, I love their fight that they had. They're kind of like voices raised today.
Right? So Chantel, Jed deserves 95% of the blame for that move, LOL. Yes, he does. But I also like having some just desserts here for the fact that they were just so disloyal. It's just so disloyal. Oh. What else happened? So yeah, you're pissing off your number 2. That's so. She's really, really indignant, isn't she? Babe, you're not my number 2. Ooh, ouch. So Beth comforts Kiefer. Confronts Kiefer and Ty about, this is the part that you're talking about, I think, about the fact that she must have thrown her under the bus. And they kind of did, but they're making it seem like it was her idea to want to maybe keep Jed.
But again, she storms up there, doesn't ask questions, starts making statements and throwing accusations at people that you want to win over and you want to vote to keep you and then eventually vote you the winner. But you're like, this is what you did and this is what's happening. I mean, think about it for a second, Beth. Take a breather, but also walk up there and be like, hey, so, this is what I'm being told, and it concerns me that the onus is upon like me that I'm taking all the blame and responsibility for that when really that was I feel like, you guys we had a shared responsibility or whatever, right? But she's just like emotionally flying off and just yelling at them where they can hear it outside in the room. And
And
I'm just
then
like, what are you thinking?
throws that dig. I'm getting heat for it just because you're sleeping in the same bed. I mean, it was a pretty good soap opera moment.
Good to watch. Oh, I mean, I loved it as a viewer, but as like if I was Beth, I was cringing because I was like, you're not playing a good game, Beth, and this is why you don't deserve to win or even make it any further. It's like you're being really hot-headed and making all these mistakes.
Yeah. So you are our competition, especially veto connoisseur. What did you think about On Tilt?
I
Um,
mean,
the
they
show.
copied Survivor. I'm not mad at that. Yeah, no, I liked it. It's a good. Um, yes, it's cardio. So I felt bad for Kiefer, because as he noted, he's like, oh, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know this if your stamina is there. I mean, I have horrible stamina. Like I would do so terrible at this competition. But a good portion of it is really timing those balls and not running up and down. Like Kiefer was one of the first people to really run up and down when everyone else is like just walking up, timing it, not panicking, and walking down. You know what I mean? When you had to. But I did enjoy the competition overall.
Me too. I thought it was a great competition. So
Anyone
you're
can win it. So yeah.
referencing that it's kind of like Survivor. So this one was like some big pinball machines where they had to drop a ball that would kind of go down the flippers, and then you had to catch it at the bottom. And so it was on a tilt, so you're going to have to go up some stairs to release the ball again and then catch it at the bottom. And so it definitely was all about timing. And then when some flashing lights happened, you'd have to add an additional ball. And so they only ever got up to 3 balls. I thought that they would get up to more balls than that.
Well, it's literally the Survivor competition where you put the ball in the metal thing and it goes through the thing. You have to keep adding balls.
And
It's
it
the
switches
exact same
directions
thing.
though. It switches sides. So it
Yeah.
just really
Yeah,
went.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's the exact same, like which even has like a divider flipper. So I mean, it was basically a reimagined kind of same thing.
I loved it too. I mean, I'm still trying to figure out how any of these competitions lately have been sort of with the theme of the superhero that's coming back
No,
to life from
zero, zero. None of them have been. None of them.
uh, they probably just had those neon headbands like in the vault, but like
But
I'm
like I'm
like,
like, who are your sponsors? They're giving you a lot of money, like OLG, all that stuff. I'm like, good for you, because these are, you know, well done. Like these are reminiscent of like American. Listen, America has a lot more money than Canada when it comes to productions, what they pay people, the hosts, like actors, anything like that, by tenfold. I promise you, I'm in the business, and so. I was really impressed because the construction and the elements of what they're using seems really well done and just kind of really detailed, and a lot of their budget, I mean, for competitions this year is amazing. So good job.
I definitely this is the only, I guess, kind of endurance competition that we've had so far. It didn't seem like it lasted that long though, but I am sad that we haven't seen like a full blown like hang on to a wall. But I think it's because they don't have the manpower during COVID time to be constructing these things, unfortunately. But this was definitely my favorite, and I think the best competition that we've had this season. Like I thought it was really good. It looked good. It was hard. It was even playing field for everybody. Pretty decent. So Kiefer, Tara blew it first, which I was actually very surprised. And then it was Kiefer, and they're all on the third ball. And then Beth was just like, she was like so proud of herself for being like just sauntering up and down, like she has this timed out perfectly. And then she didn't, because she didn't walk a little bit fast enough to catch the ball at the end. I was like, did she space out? I was rooting for her to win that because I hate when the target goes out. I know you weren't.
Not me.
I always want the target to foil their plans, I just want them to like, sorry, suckers. That's why with Jed, I was like, I think, okay, so I do the reality stock watch with Rob as a podcast. And I think how it worked is that I was like, oh, Jed won the veto. I'm not going to, I'm not going to remove my stocks that I had in Jed. And then I was like, oh my God, they're convincing him to do this. Why did I keep my Jed stocks?
Yeah.
So yeah, I lost some money on Jed because I didn't sell those stocks, even though he was going home. Brutal. So pretty much, pretty quickly on the third ball, it was only Braden against Ty, and so Ty drops the ball literally, and Braden wins his third competition in a row. Now it's pretty. I know that you said it's the fact that there's less people to compete against, so it's not as impressive. But he still has won 3 competitions in a row. I think that would have been the best for him beforehand is if he had used his first veto during the double? Whatever, the one where they're calling through, this is the fake double, where he should have used it on Tara and they put up, I think it would have been Kiefer and Kiefer packing.
Yeah.
Like he should have used that veto.
Missed opportunity there for sure. I thought he was going to, and he didn't. I was like, ooh. But Beth almost won that one, which was scary. She's come close a lot. But yeah, the question about this one, why would Ty want to win this one and have Beth hounding him all week or for a day or whatever to use it? So do we think he literally fumbled it? It was in his hands. Do we think Ty threw it?
I was thinking that. I mean,
why would he win it? He's not seeing that block. So when he looks and he's like, it's literally Braden, and he knows he's safe. So why would I want to win that? Why would I have that blood on my hands of why would I want people in my ear? I mean, for me, it's a missed opportunity to potentially make certain deals because you can, but then he might be like, oh, I don't want to piss off Braden or this or whatever. I thought he probably threw it. Whether it was kind of stated.
Yeah. I don't know for sure because he didn't say anything in the diary room about throwing it. I could see it would make sense for him to not try that hard. You know what I mean?
Especially when they're the final 2 that are up. You know what I mean? It's
we just basically didn't want either Tara or Beth to win, and they're both out. So let's just let Braden win it. I can still beat him. Maybe for his resume. I mean, he could have won and just had an extra competition, but I don't think.
But you can say that you threw it later on. So why would you want a bigger target on yourself being like, oh, he wins things or whatever? You know what I mean? It's more impressive to me if you make it towards the end and you have a better social game or made moves or made people do things rather than actually win the competitions forcing them. So, I mean, that wouldn't have been a big factor for me. I would have been I could tell people later on, I'm like, I threw it because I didn't want to be a target. It's fresh in people's minds. Oh, he just won the veto. Let's put him up. You know what I mean? I don't want to be any more enticing.
Also with jury management too. So if with jury management, he wins the veto and he doesn't use it on Beth or Tara, they could be if both of them end up going to the jury at some point, they could still be a little bit annoyed with Ty that he could have saved them and then he didn't. It's different than just being voted out by somebody, but the fact that they actively chose not to save either one of you, it could be bad. So maybe he didn't want to be in that position for them to be even more upset with him than just voting one of them out.
If going into it, the plan was to backdoor, let's say someone Kiefer, let's say, he knew he'd probably be in on it if it was, and then he would probably want to win it because then he could say that he could then make some sort of promise with Tara who's staying or whatever, look, I'm going to take you off the block, or to Beth or whatever, I'm going to take you off the block. We have to promise next week that you can gain things from that. But because that wasn't happening and he probably knew that wasn't happening, it's just easier to be like, no blood on my hands, I'm going to stay out of this.
Maybe he wants to wait for the final 4 comps. I mean, I think that's what he's assuming is going to happen, is that he's going to win. He's going to win out now because he needs to have Kiefer gone. Ty, his game is not that great. He's won what? Two competitions?
He's known for losing a lot in the beginning, right? So first half really of the game. So yeah, he everyone's eyes should be, hopefully Beth goes, but everyone's eyes should definitely be on um Kiefer next.
Absolutely. Eugene says, I feel like I'm experiencing a phantasmagoric reality watching so many people of color win so many competitions on Big Brother. Never happened before. Absolutely. Well, there's never been more than maybe 2 people in the house at the same time
Yeah.
gone before jury. So there's never really been this many people of color that's made the jury ever. Like, you know, like it's usually most people kind of go out first, second, third.
And a white person's going home this week. So
Yeah.
there will be final 4 will be 3 diverse people out of 4. So I'm happy about it.
And it's a woman too, so it's like it is still a bit of a minority, we'll say, here as well, with the Tara being a woman. So I would have loved more if there was more women in the end. I'm kind of disappointed that they took out all the women. You know, why can't women like work together? I love working with women when I can, you know, but like it doesn't happen that often. Dolores, how'd you make your $40? Like from the stock watch? You won some money. You sold your Jed stocks. Maybe. Okay, so Brayden can play for head of household next week, or next head of household, right? Can he play for Final Four?
No.
I think it's 4-3. No, he can't play.
It's 4-3. Yeah, he
Are they
can't play
normally?
for,
Are
he's
they
gonna have to
normally
play
first
for Veto.
physical and then physical on the veto? It seems like there's not that many rules anymore. I don't think that was ever actually a written in stone thing. I feel like this is going to do a lot of those mental AB like booth competitions because it's easier to set up in these times of COVID, and they don't have the manpower, you know, again to like make these really big contraptions and, you know, things that move or whatnot. And so I think that's why there's been a lot of mental competitions in this kind of capacity. I actually had it all along Kiefer, all on Kiefer about 3 weeks ago. I have most of it on Kiefer. I still have a little bit like 1 on Tara, I think like 6 on Ty, 6 on Brayden, and then like 60 on Kiefer, I think.
I have no money on anybody, but I do accept gifts.
Yes, he does. At all of Jonathan 23. 100%. Okay. So Brayden wins. And you know, Tara gets people into, I think they were in the pantry, and they're getting Ty and Kiefer to swear that they're not going to send her home twice. They pinky swear on this. Little pinky swears mean a lot. I think pinky swears would be worse than swearing on my family.
Listen, I'll pinky swear. I'll swear on my family. I'll whatever wins me the game. Okay.
It's true. I mean, in the real thing, maybe
but
some of my.
I was buying that what they were saying. I mean, like they seemed very genuine and honest about it. So
Brayden, Ty, and Kiefer are kind of making fun of how Beth is probably going to be pitching to Brayden, saying that you know, he probably needs to make a big move, that you need to take out Kiefer right now. But like these are all facts though, and she's going to be spewing facts. But the fact that they are warning him about what she's going to say is not boding well for Beth, because it looks as though it's not real, even though these are facts that are true. And I also do feel slightly sad for Beth, like Ty does, about the fact that she made it to a fake Final Four. And so she is not going to actually make it to Final Four. She's going to be out final.
Yeah. But like what I was saying, what Kiefer does best is informs people right away. I was saying that last week, right? And because he informs people and tells them right away, it really softens that blow. And I think that came into full effect this week again as well, because I'm going to skip ahead a little bit for a second. But when the veto was being revealed, the decision, it was stated by the person who won it that I'm not going to make an emotional decision. And I really do think that came into play with them going and telling Brayden that, and then him feeling as if Beth was trying to play on his emotions. I do think that stems back to Kiefer. I think he's like a genius with that stuff. He goes in right away and tells people, like, this is what's going to happen. This is, you know what I mean? And like him and Ty doing that was like so smart because it really made sure that, you know, Braden wasn't like, I'm not going to play emotionally. I'm going to, you know, no one's going to rock my boat kind of a thing. And I'm going to do what I think's best for me.
So before we get to like the end of this, so Kiefer goes outside, he sees some drinks and some party food on a little tall
Chocolate covered strawberries.
Yes, he runs inside, tells everyone to put on their bathing suits. They come back down. They had a little sponsor moment. They're gonna go into the hot tub, and that was it for the segment. I don't even know what the brand of whatever it was they were toasting was.
Who cares? I liked what I got from that was because remember when Kiefer woke up early in the morning and found the Expedia room, and I'm like his little dance and his little like freak like things like that. I live for that. I'm like I love it. Kiefer needs to find everything for the first time because I was like I love those moments. I think he's so funny.
I wonder what he's like on like doing Easter egg hunts, you know? So this was the moment that you hated was when Beth was calling Braden, like who was in the head of household, to come sit with her outside.
Braden, going outside by the hot. Do you want to meet? Come with me. Talk to me. Like, stop telling people. Like, I mean, I guess it was a question, but it was very forceful across the whole house. But yeah.
I need to put this up. Jonathan, you deserve a basket of goodies. He will accept them.
I'm on a diet right now, but if they're like, I will accept. I will accept.
What about Villains US versus Villains Canada season? I need to be on Big Brother Canada first, even though I'll probably be a hero. Maybe I won't. But
I mean, I'm definitely a villain.
You're so a villain.
I'm such a villain.
I've never been a villain before, so I would want to play that though. That'd be so fun. I want to be. Yeah. I would want to be. How could I be a villain? I don't have it in me.
Cutthroat.
Okay, I'd have to.
I was thinking today about if I was writing a letter to you, I'd be like, remember, do not play emotionally, and like they would never let me put all these like tips and like and do what I would do.
Oh my God, I would. You know what though? I really would do what you would do because you definitely make rational decisions that are good for the game and not emotional at all. So, oh my God, but I would love to be on this season though. I'd love to be considered the lovable villain.
Yeah.
You know, like
there you go. Well, that's an angle, yeah, for sure. You're the villain we're all rooting for. You're the Maleficent. You know what I mean? Like
me? I would love that. I would love that. Can we imagine Kiefer on The Amazing Race? Yes. Oh yeah. Actually, I could.
I would love it. Yeah. Oh my God. You know what? I would love Kiefer and like a Braden, even like a Amazing Race. Like I feel like there's a bunch of people you can put together. Yeah, that'd be great.
What about you? Wouldn't want to add Beth to Amazing Race?
Only if she gets eliminated first.
I should tell a villain, kill him with your smile. I mean, that's how I would hide my villainousness with behind the smile, so they wouldn't see me coming. I'd have to. It's so scary. So yes, Beth does call out Braden, and they talk about exactly what Kiefer and Ty kind of preempted him on what she's going to say, and she does. It's your moment, Bray. I mean, she should have been nurturing that stuff, being like, really coming to him as a friend, not aggressively. Nobody wants their parents telling them what to do, even if it's the right thing. You want it to be your friend, your confidant, your comrade. Like, you know, you want to be making this decision together, or just like coaxing him in a way that's non-aggressive. It just, especially with them warning him, it doesn't sound genuine, and it just sounds like she's making a pitch. And so it wasn't
all of her talks have been horrible, I think. Like, especially this episode, like they've all been non-successful, just horrible, not well thought out, played emotionally. I mean, not good.
Yeah, it's true. But okay, so the next scene though, we see Ty and Bray talking, and this is what I thought was really interesting, was that Ty asks him, what does your gut say? And he said that, like, Braden said that he's been using his gut this whole time and it hasn't led him astray. And his gut is telling him to cut Kiefer. And I thought that that was really, really interesting, that whatever relationship that he has with Ty is not allowing him to go with what his gut is saying. Because at the veto ceremony, Braden
I'm like, why aren't you listening to your gut? Like, why, you know what I mean? Like, this is what my gut says. Not gonna do it, but this is what my gut said. Like, I don't know people who think that way, but that was very interesting.
Especially since he said it out loud. What does your gut say? My gut says to cut Kiefer. I'm gonna go against my gut. Yeah, I'm gonna go against my gut.
I don't trust my gut, but that's what it tells me to do. So
and I think that this is going to be the moment that will lose him the game for sure, because the move this week is Kiefer. The fact that Beth is so undesirable to be in the house with is overshadowing your gut, and he's ended up making, I think, an emotional move by not wanting to have Beth there, by wanting to keep Ty happy.
And Kiefer's just playing the nice guy, really involved. You know, he earlier on didn't want to go upstairs and talk to the nominees afterwards because he knew better. He's really smart, Kiefer, and and I think even just innately knows what to do in these situations, and it's played so well for him. He deserves to win.
Yeah, at this point, yeah, he does, because he should be out this week for sure. This is a perfect time to get him out. He's vulnerable.
Should have been out a few times. Absolutely.
Yeah. A few times. One thing he says, though, in his veto speech is that he will not waver, he will not falter when he makes a decision, which I think is a little bit of a stab at the trio, because they kept on like flip-flopping all the time back and forth with their decision making on who they're going to keep, who they're going to save, blah, 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 blah. But I think that that's how he convinced himself that it's a better thing for him to not go back on his original nominations, because he doesn't want to look like a flip-flopper. I think he's making that be more important than his gut. And so this is his losing move, I do think. Unfortunately, I'm happy that he has this power position, but he didn't do anything spectacular with it. He did what Jed wanted him to do. And Beth pointed this out, but the how she pointed this out was also telegraphed by Ty to make it look like it was invalid and not worthy of listening to. So Braden is getting a little bit played here, but he'll probably get 20 grand. He'll probably get 20 grand. So the only thing that they really announced was that Monday night is going to be the BBCan Awards. So everybody vote. You're going to vote?
No.
Funny how they cut Jed because they wanted to win Big B, but this logic doesn't apply to Kiefer, right? It's very interesting. He does have a score on them.
Yeah, it's like you're misted, right? It's this veil of like disillusion that you don't see what's right in front of you, and they could see what was happening with Jed. I don't know that they fully see it with Kiefer. Even when Beth was pushing it, I don't think she knew to what extent and the importance of it fully.
And I think Ty believes that he can beat anyone, and he just doesn't like that. Like, I think that that's kind of what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
They all think that they can beat Kiefer, even though they can't. I don't think they can.
Especially when you've been in that position where you could have evicted someone and you chose not to. It then does give you a false sense of power over them because you kept them and that was your choice. And they had that with Kiefer a few weeks back. So I think that it's like, I agree. I think that he feels like he's had the opportunity to get, Tara was evicted already. Braden hasn't done anything. Kiefer, they could have went, but then they decided to keep on their own regard. And now Beth he's getting rid of. So I think he thinks like, I've been in control. And it's a false sense of security that he's given himself, which is a big mistake.
Huge. Do you know where that reference is from? Come on. Big mistake. Huge.
No. What is it from? What? I don't.
Bags.
What? Say that again.
Pretty Woman. Big mistake. Huge.
Cool. I watched that in 90s. How many? Like 20 some odd years ago.
It's a classic line. It's classic. Anyways, I love getting up to
Some
date
of
with
us
you.
were a little kid in the 90s.
Yeah, you're the baby. I was a fetus.
I
Like,
wasn't even born yet. What are you talking about? I was born in 83. I'm old, guys. I'm joking.
this has been fun. Love catching up and hearing your perspective on Big Brother. It's one of my favorite pastimes. I love all of you guys in the chat. BB, Dolores, Natalie, Phil. If I forgot you, we love you too. Do you have anything that you're working on, Jonathan, that you want to share with the people so they can follow you and support you?
If you enjoy seeing me, I'm starting my own skincare channel. No, I'm not. No, there's nothing. Don't follow me.
I was like, no.
Don't. You can reach me somewhere.
I don't have much going on here other than inviting you to subscribe to Reality Pop right down over there, your new hub for all things reality TV. And so on tomorrow on the block will be JoJo. We'll be talking about the eviction episode, likely go to Beth. Don't really see it going any other way. And on Friday, you'll see me, Michelle, and Phil's partner, Ron. We will be playing a Survivor trivia game on Reality Pop. So this will be at 7 p.m. Eastern. I don't know my Survivor trivia, so I don't know how well I'm going to do. But if you want to hang out with us and follow along and see how well we do, we would love to have you join us. So what's our last thing? Oh gosh, I had a child in the 90s. Geez, showing my age. Don't worry, girl. My goddaughter is turning 26. Don't worry. Actually, my child was born in the 80s.
That's
like
me.
John, not even me. But I love you guys. Join us tomorrow. Join us Friday. We love you. Take care, guys.
Bye.